Hi, it's Mikate. Thanks for tuning on in. Today we've got another exciting Genshin stream continuing onwards with the Fontaine Archon quest. So we should get to see a little bit more of Navia, explore the area some more. Should be a pretty good time. And I've been working on leveling up my Pyro team to go with Kniech. It's definitely not quite there. I still need to work on Bennett in particular so that we have a healer. But I've got Toma and Zhongling in progress, so adding him in, we'll have something somewhat cohesive probably by the next time we play. So that should be fun to test out. We'll see how that all goes. But for today, we'll stick with the same standard team layout. But without any further ado, let's get to it. Should be a pretty good time. We can see kind of how everything is. Alrighty. So, let's go and see Navia. Should be hanging out in the underground. Which I haven't really been around here all that much just because I was a little bit afraid of triggering new questline dialogue. I didn't really want to. So we can also kind of explore this area. Oh, what is that? Hello? That is a giant tortoise. He's so big. I love him. I'm taking a picture with him. He is delightful. Okay. Let's see, what else is down here? Oh, there's a whole nother room. Kind of. Wait, is this where we came from? I think this is where we came from. Either way, it's like a really big space just in the underground. Is this a shop? Can we shop there? No. Boo! If I talk to you, will you sell me things? Okay. Interesting. So you helped her learn her gunbrella skills. Well, yeah, no, you shouldn't start cutting things up here. Interesting. Okay. Cool. All right, Navia, where are you at? Ooh, inside. Let's see if we'll actually get to see the inside of this building.
Paimon slept so well. This place feels almost too safe. Huh? Navia? Where did the other two go?
I sent them back to Poisson. It's Spina de Rosula's place of origin, and where we have our headquarters. There's not much for them to do here at the moment.
They have really got the echo turned up on this mic, on the mic that they're recording this with, huh? It's an interesting choice.
Paimon gets the feeling that you're just trying to get them off your back. But never mind that. When did you get back? Were you waiting here the whole time?
No, I just returned after going out for a while. I did some investigating yesterday regarding the name Vache.
Oh, did you find something? That would be helpful.
Wait, so you didn't sleep at all?
How could I after having such critical new evidence appear?
Girl, you gotta take care of yourself a little bit. Doesn't surprise me that she doesn't, though.
Guess Paimon wasn't speaking for everyone just now, huh?
Unfortunately, this name seems to have been wiped from existence. It doesn't seem to have a match anywhere.
Well, that's suspicious.
I suspect that those behind this have already taken steps to hinder an investigation from this angle. But that does prove that this Vache person is a key witness in the incident.
Sounds about right.
Does that mean we're too late, though?
Not necessarily. I mean, Water Girl's memories were all kinds of messed up, so it's certainly possible it could be a nickname or something, too.
No. There is one ray of hope. One place in Fontaine that they would find almost impossible to threaten, no matter how much they wanted to. And that is the archives kept by Chief Justice Navia. A place where detailed files on all the cases in recent years are kept. If the Oceanid you met is one of the young women who went missing recently, we should be able to find some related information there.
So Nervalette maintains an archive of case files? Whew. Guess that's the hard-working Chief Justice for you.
Well, thank goodness. That should be helpful for us.
In that case, let's go talk to him, shall we?
It feels like at this point we're getting just a little bit entitled with our ability and our thought that we can just walk up to authority figures and talk to them. Feels like this is a consequence of, well, in particular of Liyue, but also Sumeru, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Navia.
Aren't you coming along, Navia? Did you get tired?
Well, it's just also a bad idea.
No, it's nothing. Let's go see the Honorable Chief Justice.
Okay. Alright, so we need to go back up above ground.
The Palais is right up ahead. Come on.
Okay. It's a fancy building. I like. Are those stars on the ceiling? That is so cool. But it moves too. It's a glass ceiling. Is it dark outside? Now I feel like I have to check. Okay, I guess technically. Either way, that's just like a really cool hidden detail that I feel like you would never notice if you didn't look up like that, but I wonder if there's a bunch of buildings in Fontaine that are like that. They do have a lot of glass construction. There probably are.
Halt! Please state your business here. The Chief Justice is presently occupied with official matters.
Huh. This place does look pretty heavily guarded. Guess that proves that Nervalette's files are really secure.
Will be helpful for us, assuming we can have access.
Hey, don't you recognize us?
Huh? Who are you? Just to be clear, I don't care who you are or who you might be related to. Our rules make no exceptions.
See? They've got great discipline, too.
Yep. Paimon can tell.
If you're here just to crack jokes, I can point you towards the exit. Unlike some, we're busy, so please leave if you don't have a reason to be here.
No. What I meant to say is, shouldn't you remember us from a few days ago? We were at the trial of the great magician Linny.
Oh, yes, I remember. I read about it in the Steambird. You must be Linny's attorneys. It's all coming back to me now.
We sure are. Gotta say, that's one of the most unique things we've ever been recognized for here. Usually it's, you're the person who defeated that thing, or killed that, or ended this crisis. This one's new.
We're here today to report and archive some information on a follow-up case.
Huh. Is that even a thing?
Of course. Don't worry. We're here on official business. You can trust us.
All right then, I'll let you through. The Chief Justice is just inside.
Huh. Nice going, Navia. Pretty smooth talker there.
Ah, thanks so much.
Okay, so we need to go in here. Oh.
Please come in.
Okay. Hi, Nuvolette. Whoa, he's got a cool looking office and a fancy chair.
Sorry to barge in, Monsieur Nervalette. We only lied to get in because we didn't know any other way.
It's all right. Please let me know how I may be of assistance to you.
So you're not mad at us?
We're looking for a man called Vacher. He may have been an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case. If we can find him, we may be able to unearth some key information on the case.
Ah, I see. In that case, please wait here a moment while I browse through the files.
He's so chill.
Who knew that Nervalette would be so easy to talk to?
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately,
You don't have anything?
I'm quite certain that no one by the name of Vacher has been involved in any case, criminal or civil, in the past several years.
Oof. Well, that's unfortunate, but I suppose understandable.
There are no records of him either in the files or in my memory.
Traveler, what if it was really just a dream?
Is that so? All right then. Thank you so much, Monsieur Neuvillette. We'll take our leave now.
Yeah, sorry to bug you on what was apparently a completely non-functional attempt.
Ahem. Miss Navia, I can understand how you feel. Your father, Callus, was a truly exceptional man. We deeply regret his passing.
And what are you trying to say, Monsieur Neuvillette?
Ooh. Honestly, he's a brave man bringing that up to her, considering his position.
Are you trying to console me? Extend your sympathy? Or just express some tendril of regret? No. You are not trying to do any of that. I can hear it in your voice. There's no emotion behind your words. You only said those things because you felt like you should. It's just like last time. After my father took his place in the duelist ring, I pushed through the guards to talk to you as a last resort.
Ooh. Ooh, boy. And I'm guessing that didn't go well either.
You even told me then that you thought there was something fishy with the case, yet you still allowed the duel to go ahead. In your eyes, the value of a human life is nothing compared to those cold laws you hold so dear.
That's a hefty accusation. Oh boy. Look, Navia, I know not to judge, because, like, I get that. Like, your position's understandable, but maybe don't antagonize him directly like that.
If you truly regret my father's death, Then why didn't you call a stop to the duel?
Oh, honey.
Why didn't you give me the power to stop him from throwing his life away? Why did you just let him die, despised and hated by all? Everything was hanging on a thread at that moment. Just the tiniest effort could have changed everything. There are still so many things I never got to tell him. So many questions he still owes me answers to. If you really have no heart, then just look me in the eyes. I, Navia, will show you the true meaning of regret.
Oh, he can't do it. Oh, man. I mean, girl has got a wild story.
I'm sorry, Miss Navia.
You and my father are truly alike. You keep all kinds of things in your heart and never say a word to anyone. It's not so much that you can't feel, but that you would never express anything. Oh well. In any case, everyone already knows full well the apathy of the Chief Justice.
I mean, to a certain extent, he kind of has to be considering his job, I would think. Otherwise, if he ever has to actually judge a case and gets too emotionally invested, that's no good either. But yeah. This is another one of those cases where I don't Navia's certainly not in the wrong. And her feelings are very understandable. But I don't know.
My apologies for taking my emotions out on you, Monsieur Chief Justice. Let's go, Traveler and Paimon.
I feel kind of bad for Nuvolette there. Like, I get it. She's in the right to express things, but yeah. Oh boy. Understandable why she didn't want to come with, though.
Navia, are you okay?
I'm fine. Rain. It's raining.
Huh.
You're right. Wasn't it still sunny when we went into the building? And there shouldn't be any active trials today. How strange.
How suspicious.
Now that I think of it, on the day my father was convicted of murder, it was also raining.
What is it? Did you think of something?
Yeah, he was outside. It was uncovered and the rain could fall there. Why? Do you think the rain could have affected the crime scene?
No.
That thought has occurred to us before. We've even expanded the search area to try to account for that, but didn't find anything of value. Oh? Wait. You don't mean...
So you're saying that the true murderer could have been turned into water? And then got washed away with the rain?
Any number of things are possible.
Yeah. And if that's what had happened, then no one would have believed your dad, even if he explained what he saw to the authorities.
I really think I found a true genius for a partner. You're completely right. How did I not connect the dots earlier?
I mean, there's a million different possibilities, but I suppose at least it's good you have hope that there's another option here.
All right, let's go to Poisson. With this new lead in mind, we'll get to the bottom of my father's case for sure.
Yes, just don't get your hopes up too high.
Yeah, we're gonna make progress for sure this time.
Do you want to go with me now? Or do you want to head over by yourself later? Great, let's go then.
Oh. Where'd Where did we end up? We're just... Okay then. Just been relocated to a random location.
Is this really necessary?
Ooh. This is another cool kind of steampunk construction vibes location.
Whoa! What a huge ship! Why would a ship be anchored at a place like this?
How pretty.
There's no need to be so surprised. While it may look like a ship, it's actually Spina di Rosula's headquarters. My father was the one who asked for it to be built like this. Perhaps our taste in exterior design is the only thing we occasionally had in common.
I mean, understandable. It looks cool. It's a cool place to be.
A gigantic and glamorous ship embodies discovery, opportunity, ambition, and conquest. It symbolizes Spina di Rosula's bright and limitless future.
And Paimon thought you were bluffing when you said Spina di Rosula had a glorious past.
Paimon, don't say that aloud to her.
Paimon was confused why a group with such a history would live in the sewers.
Okay, fair enough. I had questions about that one too, but like, it's an underground spot that's free, and there's a lot of them, so housing, I think, in any other case would be a bit difficult.
But now that Paimon has seen this ship for herself, she's been convinced.
Well, Poisson is where Spina di Rosula began, after all. It's our main base, our home.
Alright, get to go on it. I hope it has like an actual indoor location. Not just like randomly not letting us go inside. I'd be a little bit disappointed. I want to see the inside of the boat. There's all kinds of stuff happening down on the ground too, which you can check out at some point. Houses and things.
Yep.
I'm just saying, if you play with fire, you're gonna get burned.
But it ain't gonna last.
Okay, so we probably don't get to go inside, unfortunately. That's like a little bit disappointing. Unless it's hiding, which I guess could be possible. Ah, there is. However. Hydroculus. So we'll nab that.
Maloose, we're back!
Apologies for the wait, demoiselle, and our most important partners.
They've all got the outfits. It's not just her two friends. I love the black and gold color scheme that they've got going on. Like, they are a well-coordinated crew. And plus the, like, little bit of blue. It's like they're all dressed to match each other, which is, obviously they are. It's, like, kind of a uniform. But, like, it's such a small detail, but it's so good.
You said before that you still had some business at the court. What brings you back to Poisson so quickly?
About that. It's because my partner here reminded me of something really important. You see, what if my father's case had something to do with water from the primordial sea? You still remember, right, Maloose? On that night, it was raining?
Yes, the case was quite similar to that of Mr. Linney's. Both were what you'd call impossible murders.
Could you tell us a bit more about what happened before?
Yeah, of course. Many years ago, something called synth began to gain popularity in Poisson.
Okay. Probably, if I had to guess, the drug that they're making from primordial water. Because they said in tiny doses it adds in, like, elation or something like that.
At a glance, it was a kind of drink that could excite your mood and produce many pleasant hallucinations.
So, definitely that, then.
Wait! Didn't that guard guy who turned into water also mention that the primordial water could be used to produce some kind of potion?
Yes, he did. Considering what we know now, it's almost certain that synth is created using water from the primordial sea.
Right. So was your dad investigating it then? Because if he was, that certainly supplies one heck of a connection.
If you drink synth for an extended amount of time, you'll suffer many side effects, such as losing the ability to focus or control your emotions. And if you were to stop drinking it completely, you'll experience flashes of paranoia and anxiety while lacking energy to do anything. It's an extremely dangerous substance.
Yeah, sounds like it.
As he oversaw Poisson, my father was compelled to put a stop to synth abuse and called for a complete ban of it.
So he was probably investigating and caught up to someone at just about the exact wrong time then. Yeah, this is starting to make more and more sense and feel more and more likely.
Boss's uncompromising attitude incurred the synth vendor's wrath, but no matter how much they threatened or bribed him, he refused to yield.
Yeah. Understandable why he'd go for a duel in that case as well, because, I mean, either he tries to tell his truth and nobody believes him, and then he gets labeled as crazy and is in prison, which wouldn't be any good, or he at least has a shot with the duel. Plus, I suspect he's probably a little bit worried about people going after him, and may or may not have been threatened, especially if he had Navia at that time, which obviously he did. Clearly these people aren't wary about messing around, so I suspect there may have been some threats involved here.
Not only that, Boss became determined to find the mastermind behind the synth operation and put an end to the problem once and for all.
Yes, but the enemy was very cunning. So he could never get anything out of the dealers, all of whom only sold the stuff and weren't privy to the rest of the operation. Recognizing that, my father decided to contact the dealers in secret and cultivate personal relationships with them. Finally, he was able to convince someone to become his informant. The man's name was Jacques. He felt greatly ashamed about his work after seeing many families destroyed by synth abuse. That night, my father hosted a banquet at his countryside estate. He planned to meet up and exchange information with Jacques over some food. But then, we heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. We raced to the scene and found my father, still holding a gun, and Jacques, who was already dead on the ground.
Aha. Okay. Yeah.
Huh? How did that happen? Aren't they on the same side?
Sounds just like Lenny's case, doesn't it? In both cases, the culprit seemed obvious, but neither appeared to have any motive at all.
Right. But a third person at the scene would explain a heck of a lot.
Looking back on it, though, I now believe the most important clue was something we all overlooked at the time. There were pieces of clothing left at the scene. Precisely. It's all thanks to you that I made the connection now. Back then, we all just thought they were some costumes that Jacques used to disguise himself at the banquet.
Right, and I'm guessing the overall lack of witnesses didn't help either.
But, considering it now, it's almost certain that they belong to a third person at the scene. With one extra person, we'll also need to reconsider why the 2 shots were fired. You're right. We still don't know what happened. But my intuition tells me that we're on the right track to figuring it all out. I'm finally headed towards the truth.
Well, if we're taking your theory and running with it, odds are good that your dad fired one of the shots at the killer, which hit presumably a vial of some kind, which ruptured, and the killer also fired at Jacques. That would account for 2 shots, near simultaneous. And would explain how the guy got hit with his own water. That's a nice little buttoned up answer. Don't know if it's the truth, and I think we'll have a hard time determining. Certainly a possibility, though.
Jacques was an empathetic man who was infinitely remorseful for his past actions. It's unlikely that he turned on Boss with zero warning. I think this third person is probably the key to the full truth. On that note, however, even though this will not please you, demoiselle, as your and your father's butler, I must still offer a word of warning.
That's probably fair, because the closer we get to figuring this out, the more they're gonna want us gone.
Our opponent is insidious and cruel. They are extremely difficult to deal with, and Boss has already lost his life trying to bring them to justice. Even though Spina de Rosula has lost most of its former glory, Poisson has welcomed a new time of peace, and we have been allowed to live out our lives.
True.
There is no need to follow your father's path. It would be both wise and in line with Boss's wishes to step back and give up on the case.
Yeah, she doesn't strike me as the type, considering she's been working on it for this long already.
If that's indeed what he wished for, then he should have told me that himself.
Yep, sounds about right.
Was I not the closest person to him? And yet, I was the one most kept in the dark. What was the point of him dying without sharing any of the secrets he knew? Did he manage to protect anything in the end?
Well, you're still alive. I'm certain he considers that quite important. Or he would, at least.
Synth is still here. Callus the Unfaithful is still his epithet. And Spina di Rosula is barely getting by. Nothing has changed. Did he think I'd just accept his meaningless death and live out my life just as meaninglessly? I've never accepted that, ever. Not since that day, and certainly not now. I want to find out the real answer for everyone's sake. For the missing girls, for the victims, and for myself.
Understandable.
Navia.
This is indeed the best moment to act. Your partner appears to be quite reliable, and more importantly, demoiselle, I think you're also ready to take this on.
So you do know something else, Malus?
Yes, I do. In fact, even before that banquet, Boss already knew of the connection between Synth and the serial disappearances case.
Oh? Well, isn't that curious?
But what drove all the tensions to the boiling point was the revelation that you, demoiselle, had been selected as the next target to disappear.
See? See, I called it. I called it. I knew it.
What?
Boss also didn't tell you that he had been diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctors told him that he had no more than 5 years left to live. And the serial disappearances case caused him great anxiety.
Right, if she's being targeted, and I can see him thinking drastic actions are necessary.
5 years was nowhere near enough time to resolve this long-standing conflict. But once he passed away, all the danger would pass on to you. Knowing all of this, he decided to use one final intimidation tactic before his death. He claimed to have already gotten his hands on some key incriminating evidence for the other side, and even told some members of Spina de Rosula about the details. But as long as you remained safe, he would not share the evidence with the public. If something were to happen to you, then he and all those he told would immediately expose all they knew about Synth and the disappeared victims.
Right, so nobody would be able to get off scot-free.
As we've seen, Boss's tactic has worked. Even though Boss has been gone for a long time, the other side has not tried to take Demoiselle's life.
Until
No.
just now.
I don't believe it. He never appeared to look sick to me.
No father wants their daughter to see them weak and haggard, especially someone as proud as Boss. To him, dying in a duel and suffering lasting dishonor as the unfaithful was still far preferable than losing face in front of his daughter.
Yeah. You know, pride is a major character flaw, is one. I know it's a thing. I know it is. But it's one of my least favorite. In this case, though, I suppose, I truly can't fault him for his actions, considering that it was Navia on the line. She's gonna be mad, though.
So he chose to die in silence, so that he could protect me.
I'm afraid you're not understanding this correctly, Demoiselle. What Boss wanted to hand to you was not a parasol, but a sword. If Boss's spirit could hear you telling me that you want to find the answer for the sake of everyone involved, I'm sure he'd be extremely proud.
That fool. Couldn't he have just given it to me straight? No. He might have set up everything precisely because he never thought I'd be able to understand him. Is that the amount of confidence he had in me? And what if I was never able to make it to where I am now? Yeah. I suppose that's true. With the way he'd set things up, if I had wanted, I could have just lived out my life without a care in the world.
Which...
But thankfully, he rarely talked to me about complex matters, and thus understood little of me as a person. In this case, he really didn't need to give me an easy way out. Huh. Malus, what was the key evidence that he shared with you?
You're making the assumption that there really was any. Because if there was any, considering the very recent assassination attempt, I suspect that already would have been shared out. Don't you think?
It's the location where synth is produced. Essentially, when he was threatening the enemy, Boss didn't share the specifics of the incriminating evidence he found. But if you want to use it against the enemy, you'll still have to take several things into consideration.
Right. It's a lot less dangerous for us to go there. You will need to be very, very careful if you're gonna come along, Navia.
Why? If we know where the place is, can't we just go storming in?
It is not a good idea for a great many reasons. Not the least of which is that if people start vanishing and can essentially turn into water at any point in time, that gets really complicated really quickly, and there's not really a great way to prove anything.
You mustn't forget that we're fighting against a mysterious and dangerous organization that's been in operation for decades.
Right, and they're definitely going to have countermeasures in place.
There's no telling what might be lying in wait at their headquarters. We also have no idea what kind of evidence we may be able to find inside, nor what people we may be able to capture. But a single visit to their headquarters would be tantamount to a formal declaration of war.
Right, which would get very bad very quickly.
The worst case would be that we leave empty-handed, but also open ourselves up to full retaliation.
Mm-hmm.
Then, in that case, why not work with the Fontaine authorities?
You're assuming they'll believe us.
Well, you saw one of them dissolve during Mr. Linney's case. We have no idea just how thoroughly they may have been infiltrated.
Huh. That's true. Seems my father really had no choice. But things are different now. It should be a lot easier to prove the other side's guilt, now that we've connected Synth with the disappearances case.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that, quote, magic water has been, to a certain extent, widely recognized.
You sound like you've put a lot of thought into this, Maloose.
Well, he's been sitting on that information for years.
I am the butler, after all. I live but to serve the boss and Demoiselle's will. I've always been willing to take on any kind of risk for your sake. But considering my relative lack of ability, I've spent my time keeping secrets, performing basic investigations, and waiting for the right time to come.
Thank you for all of that, Maloose. Have you discovered anything new in the past few years?
Let me think. One conclusion I came to is that the enemy must be quite familiar with Spina di Rosula, or at least have an informant planted here.
Which is even more dangerous, because if we start moving against them, and the informant figures it out, that won't be any good either.
When I announced orders to the organization's members on Demoiselle's behalf, I used to deliberately keep a few people in the dark and observe the reactions of the synth vendors.
Right, to try and ferret out who it might be.
If the vendors didn't change their plans, then the individuals informed of our orders must be innocent. If the vendors packed up and fled, however, then someone must have given them the news. After several rounds of testing and investigative tracing, I've narrowed the suspect list down to 3 people.
Well, that's convenient.
The first is Florent, Spina di Rosula's senior advisor.
Huh? Florent?
Yeah, you're gonna have about the same reaction to everybody on this list, I suspect.
Yes, surprising, isn't it? He was one of the people Boss trusted the most, which also means that he was someone who understood Boss really well.
True.
Thanks to his position within Boss's innermost circle, he always knew our upcoming plans and could thus avoid capture this whole time. There's someone else like him too. Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabrières.
Uncle Marcel.
It's a guild in Poisson. Boss helped it to grow to its current size and prominence.
What I'm getting here is that neither of these options are gonna make Navia happy.
In the beginning, they were only reselling some daily goods, but now they're one of the richest guilds around with a lot of business connections in the city.
So, they're like a sister organization of Spina di Rosula?
Yes, you can say that. When we were fighting against the synth dealers, they provided us with plenty of support.
Interesting. Okay.
It's a bit difficult to imagine someone using their own money to hunt down themselves.
Well, perhaps, but you didn't make much progress in the end, did you? If they can keep tabs on you, they can essentially lead you around by the nose.
The final suspect is Thierry, the man responsible for coordinating information between Spina di Rosula and the guards. Although the guards mostly leave us to our own devices, there are still many activities we have to report to the local authorities. Since Thierry is always in the know about our current activities, he could theoretically always plan one step ahead.
Fair enough. Okay. That's interesting. So, if they all... the guards know kind of what's up with you, that's very interesting.
I see. These are all people who I communicate with quite regularly.
Right. Well, if he's talking with the guards and we already suspect the guards are infiltrated, it honestly could not even be him. Could be whoever he's supposed to report to. Although that won't be all of the information that he reports, more than likely, so. Suppose it depends.
To think that the enemy we've been fighting against has been right next to me all along, among those I trust the most. It's almost too hard to believe.
If you want to investigate them, please take every precaution to not alert the quarry. Judging from our experience, the enemy is extremely cautious.
Of course. And thank you, Malus. You've provided us with a lot of great information.
You're too kind, my lady. I'm just doing my duty. And before I forget, proving Boss's innocence would also mean clearing him of blame in Jacques' death.
Right. Which would be ideal for everyone involved at this point.
After that incident, Jacques' wife and daughter were taken into the Spina's care. They still live in Poisson today. If it might help, you could also pay them a visit. I can make the necessary arrangements.
Oh, thank you so much, Malus. You really are the best.
A new case awaits, my dear partner.
Let's do it.
I hope we can work together to uncover the truth and end this case once and for all.
Me too, for your sake. Ah, case notes. Alright, where are we going? Oh, not far at all.
It is settled, then. Please excuse me, and enjoy your conversation at your leisure.
Thank you for arranging everything for us, Malus.
Excuse me, miss. Do you need anything from us?
Oh, you know, just to dredge up ancient trauma. I feel very bad that we're talking to them. They're not gonna know anything, probably. I'm probably not very happy with you either. Not through any fault of your own, Navia, but...
Hey, Navia's all quiet. This isn't like her at all.
I'm sorry that I only came to visit after all this time. After what happened, I didn't know how I was supposed to face the two of you.
Ah, if it's about that, there's no need to apologize. After my husband died, Spina di Rosula sent us a lot of mora and support. I understood your guilt and apology to be genuine.
But aren't all of those things nothing compared to the loss of Jacques? I can understand the kind of pain that comes with losing a father so needlessly.
Ooh. I know that we're on the trail, and we think he didn't do it. But that was probably not the way to go, Navia.
You don't understand at all.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to face you, because I didn't know what I could possibly bring as a consolation gift. I know only the full truth could bring closure to you. And to all of us.
I'm sorry. I appreciate the sentiment, but you don't have to carry all that guilt. On the matter regarding my husband, my daughter and I have more or less found our answer already.
Would you mind sharing it with me? I really can't believe that my father could ever bring himself to shoot Jacques.
I always knew that my husband's money was earned through others' suffering. He told me countless times that if he could turn back the clock, he would never go into the synth business again. He had many regrets, and felt that he took the idea of providing for his family too literally. For the longest time, he thought Mora was everything. So when Mr. Callis came to him with a proposal, he accepted it almost immediately. He tried to be as careful as he could, but even so, he was still found out by the higher-ups.
They found out about his betrayal?
Papa didn't say that exactly, but Papa did tell me that I should never be ungrateful.
Before he left that day, he told me that he had no choice. It was only later that I realized it was his final farewell to the two of us.
Oh. Okay. Well, that's a new spin on things.
I don't know that for sure, but you could say that's the conclusion I eventually came to. which is why I'm the one who should feel guilty. Callus had always taken great care of us, both when he was still alive and after he passed away. Even if he fired the shot that killed my husband, it was likely in self-defense. It is impossible for me to hate him for what he had done.
Well, that's a whole new side of things, isn't it? Huh. This is just getting more and more complicated by the minute.
But Mama, why is Papa still the bad guy if he did the right thing? Papa always wanted to be a good man, so why did he have to do a bad thing in the end?
Well, things aren't always as they seem. You still feel like your papa was a good man, right?
Yeah, Papa was a really good man. The best in the whole world.
Then you should hold on to that. If a good man had to do a bad thing, then he must have had his reasons. Regardless of whether he left you a parasol or a sword, he must have done so to give you a better life.
Oh.
Thank you for everything you've told me. I will definitely find the truth. The current state of things is not something I'm willing to just sit back and accept.
Understandable.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to hear this from you.
Yeah, we're gonna do our best. I don't know that we'll be able to get definitive answers considering how long it's been, but certainly try.
Even though your personality is quite different from your father's, your determination when you speak is really similar.
You really think so? That's the first time anyone said that to me.
Gathering all kinds of different clues.
Are you okay, Navia?
I'm fine. Don't worry. Let's investigate the 3 suspects next. Laurent should be nearby, and we should be able to find Thierry and Uncle Marcel in the city. I'll get myself together on the way.
Greetings, boss. How may I be of assistance today?
I'm sure you've heard about what happened at the Opera House. Someone got turned into water right in front of us.
Yeah, I've heard. With something that dramatic, I'm sure journalists will milk it for all it's worth. And it'll be all the talk for the next several weeks.
More than likely.
It also reminded me, on the day that the incident happened with my father, it was raining outside, and we found some clothes left at the scene. After my partner here put the dots together for me, I feel like we should try to reopen his case. Can you do me a favor and try to recall what happened that night?
Let me think. Mr. Callus was feeling pretty upbeat that day. So he was drinking and bantering away with us at the table. After that, he told us that he wanted to go get some fresh air. So we let him go without thinking much of it. Who knew that we would hear 2 gunshots ring out right after? My first reaction was that Mr. Callus's life was in danger. So I grabbed my holster and made a mad dash toward the scene. But when I got there, it was already too late. Mr. Callus was standing over a dead body with a gun in his hands. All we could do was look back and forth at each other, not knowing what to say.
So you also remember 2 gunshots then?
Indeed. The guard said that the first shot didn't hit anyone, while the second killed Jacques. But I've never really bought that explanation.
No, that's very odd, because we haven't heard anything about a second gun either, have we? And considering they're a family of marksmen, Jacques wouldn't miss. So it had to have been someone else doing it.
Reason being, Mr. Callus had left his gun on the table. I even made sure to confirm that before running to the scene.
Well, that's even more suspicious.
But according to the guards, that doesn't mean he couldn't have had other guns on his person.
I mean, technically, I guess. Still weird, though.
About the clothes left at the scene that you mentioned. Do you think there was a third person there who was turned into water?
At least from our perspective, my father had no reason to kill. So he would also have no reason to bring an extra gun with him.
Yeah.
The gun he was holding probably belonged to Jacques, or a third person on the scene.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're saying Mr. Callus ended up with the gun because he seized it from one of the other guys?
Presumably. I don't know how else he would have gotten it.
But hold on. If that's what had happened, then why didn't he share the truth with any of us? He didn't even want to face the Oratrice machine, and chose instead to prove his honor in a duel. Did he lose all faith in the courts after seeing someone dissolve right in front of his eyes?
About that, Malus told me a thing or two. So, I think I can understand why he committed to the duel. I'll tell you everything once the whole truth has been revealed.
I understand. Then I'll leave Mr. Callus's honor in your hands, boss.
Okay. So, other than him being one of the first people on the scene, nothing there makes me immediately suspicious of him.
And if I may just say one more thing. The whole Callus the Unfaithful epithet has been a thorn in my side since the day it was invented. Many people have laughed at me for still calling him Mr. Callus, even after so many years have passed. But it was Mr. Callus's trust that allowed me to rise through the ranks of Spina di Rosula and live the life I lead today.
Gotcha. So you owe him a lot then. I mean, everybody here does who we think might be the suspect, but I don't know.
No matter what others might say, he'll always be the man I respect the most. And he'll always be my boss.
Don't worry. I will definitely find the truth. You and all our other comrades at the Spina deserve to know the truth as well.
Yeah, I don't see a motive there, honestly. Plus, he gave us direct information that almost helps prove her dad was innocent, which points to other information. And if he were properly involved, he probably would want the opposite of that, I would think. Oh, what are you doing, sir? Got that highfalutin technology. Alright. Back over this way we go. Oh, well he's very conveniently located, isn't he? Hello, sir.
Hey, Thierry! It's me!
Oh, now, what brings you here, Miss Navia? I've heard that you made quite the name for yourself at the Opera House.
Sure did.
Oh, so you've caught news of that already.
Well, it would be hard not to, considering how big of a story I'm sure it already is.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm also a member of the guards, you know. The way you make it sound, people would think I was sent off to Poisson because I had done something wrong.
Are you sure there isn't a little bit of truth in that? Under normal circumstances, shouldn't you have been called back to the city already?
I mean, where I work is really up to me. Let's just say I enjoy the ambiance of Poisson.
Uh-huh. Interesting.
Callus did a fantastic job running the town, building Spina di Rosula from the ground up and clearing many obstructions in my way. It would be next to impossible for me to find a similarly easy but high-paying job in the city.
Fair enough.
Anyway, enough chit-chat. Are these two friends of yours? You, here for some formal business?
Okay. I immediately find him slightly more suspicious than the other guy. Purely based on that comment, because easy but high paying tells me he might be convinced for a significant chunk of Mora to do a little bit of spying.
Ah, yes. These two are my partners. What happened at the Opera House made us realize that Linny's case and my father's may be related. We're trying to reinvestigate the details of my father's old case.
Ah, I get it. You think there might be more to the case now that we know people can be dissolved into water, right? I was also flabbergasted when I first heard of it. If you want to go through the original files from your father's case, I can help you look for them.
Oh? Well, isn't that a nice offer? Maybe.
That'd be much appreciated. Thank you. Actually, I have another question. Do you have the authority to dispatch Gardamex?
Good question, Navia. Way to ask about that one, because while they aren't technically guard models, if he could send one somewhere, wouldn't be too hard to copy it, I would think.
Of course. Without them, I couldn't possibly handle Poisson on my own.
Uh-huh. Suspicious.
Why do you ask? We definitely can't use them to forcefully get more evidence for your father's case.
Well, you see, just recently, we were attacked by a horde of unnumbered Gardamex in the city.
Right. Be careful with how you proceed here, Navia. We don't want to completely freak him out.
So, if you hypothetically wanted to do something against me, all you would need to do is get rid of the mecha serial numbers and send them after me.
Well, that is a blatant accusation right there. Maybe you don't be quite so obvious about it.
Then you think too highly of my abilities. Dispatching mecha is very different from controlling them.
Oh?
If I had to make an analogy, when you order a dish, the chef will make it for you. You can ask the chef to cook, but not to massage your shoulders or carry your baggage.
True, I suppose. Okay, so you're implying someone else would have to be directly involved then.
If you try to make unreasonable demands, the chef would just think you're out of your mind and ignore you completely. The same goes for me and my Gardamex.
Okay, got it. So, either someone significantly higher up would have to be involved, or someone capable of reprogramming them.
Removing a serial number is also not as easy as you might think. There are a lot of complex steps to it, and it's almost impossible to keep it a secret.
Right, which points to someone probably higher up the chain then. Understandable.
So I can promise you, those mecha were definitely private units.
Okay. Honestly, I do buy that. That
They're
makes sense.
certainly not cheap. So, whoever their owner is must be super rich, powerful, or both. Now that you mention it, though, being in the synth business would definitely be profitable enough to afford this.
Oh, then you're officially in the clear, Thierry.
Oh, Navia. Maybe be careful with your accusations and then subsequent clearing. Like, I know y'all are dramatic, but careful. No need to freak anybody out.
Oh, well, thank you for the vote of confidence, Navia. Jokes aside, I'd like to wish you all the best with your investigation.
Of course, this now means that the only person left is her uncle. Or, I suppose, someone he's directly associated with.
I'll be staying in the city for a little while, so just come find me if you need any support from the guards.
So whereabouts is he? Over here? Interesting. So like kind of more in the other side of things.
Don't
Oh,
turn back.
whoops.
Hello. How may I help you?
Sorry, Kanich. Not gonna lie, I thought the anti-fall damage was probably still effective. Yeah.
I'm
That
here
was
to see Marcel.
unfortunate.
Could you please let him know? You can just say Navia's looking for him. Sure. I will let him know right away.
Ah, Navia, hello. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm not as young as I used to be, so my legs are giving out a bit.
Oh, it's all right, Uncle Marcel. There's no need to stress. I just wanted to talk to you briefly about what happened in the Opera House. I'm sure you saw everything too, right?
Yes, I've never seen anything so strange.
Oh, you were at the Opera House too?
That's right. I went there with Navia to see the magic show. Who knew it would turn into a whole murder mystery?
Interesting. Honestly, in my book, that makes him even more suspicious considering that we've still got at least one unexplained death there. Someone had to take out that captain. I don't know if he was actually a captain. Either way, if you were in the crowd, it's not looking good.
I also witnessed your marvelous sleuthing work. Quite impressive. To beat the Hydro Archon at her own game on her own turf, I can already imagine everyone in Fontaine discussing your exploits over a few glasses of wine.
Oh, Paimon doesn't want to become the talk of drunkards.
Paimon, I think everywhere we've been, we've become the talk of drunkards, and everyone else. It's an unfortunate fact when we keep getting involved in major crises.
Apologies. It's just how Fontaine is as a nation. Everyone loves drama and theatrics.
Uncle Marcel, you've also noticed that other thing, right? The fact that humans can dissolve in water?
Yes, I was reminded of your father's case right away. Is that what you're investigating now?
We sure are.
Exactly. I still don't have much solid proof, but I can sense that the other side has already begun to act.
Oh, and what makes you say that?
My suspicions are not being abated here.
We were attacked on Araneus by some unnumbered Gardamex. And there was also an attempt to get me to drink water from the primordial sea. If not for the vigilance of my partner, I probably wouldn't even be here talking to you right now.
Oh, you're giving us too much credit. Wasn't it you who protected us?
Alas, it seems things are heating up again. The peace that Callus sought so dearly will soon become a thing of the past. But rest assured, Navia, Poisson will always remain a safe haven for you. If you're scared, you can always return there. If anyone dares to lay their hands on you there, the Confrérie of Cabrières will use its funds to the last Mora to bring them to justice.
If you say so.
Thank you, Uncle Marcel. But I don't intend to go into hiding. I'm going to strike while the iron's hot. Do you have any new thoughts on my father's case?
About that. Sorry, my age is catching up with me, so it'll take me a while to recall my memory. The Confrérie was responsible for that banquet, so I was out and about the whole time making sure things were running smoothly. I didn't even have the time to drink with the guests.
Okay.
Then I heard the sound of a gunshot, and the rest was history.
One gunshot?
Oh, it's okay. No need to push yourself. We'll ask around some more. See if there are any valuable clues elsewhere.
Very suspicious. Again. And also curious that you've now been on the scene, more or less, in precisely 2 cases where we suspect someone's been turned into water.
Sounds good. Just let me know if you ever need Mora.
Or no.
All my wealth comes from Callus's patronage and support. I'll spend however much it takes to clear his name.
Just
The show begins!
fix you right up here.
I'll just treat them as new samples.
Alright, so... basically just hanging out up here, it seems like.
We've talked to all 3 suspects, purely based on their conversations with me.
Yeah, I have suspicions about your uncle still.
None of them sounded particularly suspicious.
I would disagree with that one, but okay.
I suppose that's to be expected, though. If a single conversation's all that's needed to find them out, then my father wouldn't have needed to investigate the case for so many years. Anyway, even though we didn't make a breakthrough, let's still compile what we were able to find.
But where should we start? Ah, you're right! Flora mentioned that Callus probably only ended up with the gun because of circumstance. That makes sense.
According to Jacques' family members, he already told them that he had been discovered, and that he had no choice before he left home that day. If I had to guess, he probably received an order from the synth boss to kill my father. Had he refused, he and his family's lives would have been forfeit.
Right, which makes sense. Clearly they have no issues with taking people out.
So, Jacques fired the first shot?
Maybe.
Oh? And why is that?
Ooh, that's a good point. Jacques probably already knew that he was just being used as a tool for murder. And once he had completed his mission, he'd be of no more use to his boss.
Right, it would make more sense to turn on them and do exactly the opposite. Which might explain why, assuming there was a third person on the scene, he ended up dead rather than her dad.
So, what would make more sense from his perspective would be to turn his back on the Order and seek protection from my father. Makes sense. But without evidence, that's still just a theory.
Very true.
Besides Jacques, the attack from the Gardamex has been bothering me quite a bit as well.
Yeah, that's weird, because if it's someone who needs a lot of money and a lot of power, of the 3 people here, I can really only think of one.
It's obvious that our enemy has become more antsy after the secret of the primordial seawater was revealed.
Do you think he knew, even then, that we'd follow this lead to the end?
Given everything that's happened since, it's quite possible.
Yeah, I suspect so. You've already shown yourself to be quite tenacious in going after the truth, considering how long you've been looking for it.
But who among the 3 suspects would have the ability to control privately owned Gardamex? Uncle Marcel? My father did really trust him. And they worked together on a large number of projects. Maybe that's how he got to know Jacques.
Very possible.
And with funds from the Confrérie, he could also afford a large number of Gardamex. It's still really hard for me to imagine, though. After all, Uncle Marcel has been around since I was just a child. Also, wouldn't this mean he has been spending a whole lot of mora and energy to fight his own synth business?
I guess, but...
Thierry, you say? It is possible that he's figured out a way to convert the Gardamex for personal use.
Right, but that would take a lot of doing. And... I don't know, he'd probably have to pay someone to either figure out the control or to reprogram them in some way. Which, he has said he has money, but perhaps not enough for that.
But I didn't feel like he was lying when he was talking to us about the mecha. I also don't think he'd be able to keep that kind of tampering under wraps.
Right, someone would probably notice that if that many Gardamex went missing from common use.
Yeah, had he actually tampered with the mecha, we'd be able to prove it with a simple check of the guard's inventory. If the mecha were taken from the guards, it should be pretty easy to find out when and how that happened.
I mean, none of these people make
Florent?
sense.
It is true that he was closest to my father, and thus had the best chance of learning about his dealings with Jacques. But as Spina di Rosula's advisor, his work mostly deals with personnel and security, so he shouldn't have much means when it comes to finances.
Yeah, which means there's gotta be someone else involved.
So you're saying he's too broke to afford a mecha army?
I mean, I could have told you that, just based on how much he could even be possibly paid by y'all, if funds are tight. It's not surprising.
Exactly. He can't. And even if he could, I don't think he would be able to dispatch a whole group so quickly.
Right. Just everything about that makes no sense.
Who could it be?
Well, we're out of people now. Technically. Okay. I mean, as far as most likely, I have to go Marcel. I stand by that one. Like, he's suspicious. And the fact that he only said he heard one gunshot, which maybe it is a foggy memory. Maybe it is. Could be. But their two cases directly contradict each other.
You know, if you think everything through, Uncle Marcel is indeed the most suspicious of them all.
Could we be missing other suspects? Malus didn't know about the people turning into water thing when he narrowed it down to these three, did he?
Certainly possible.
Malus has always been very reliable, and his judgment of others' trustworthiness has been fair and well considered. When he laid out his case for the three, the rationale he gave me made a lot of sense as well. The suspect is knowledgeable about the Spina's internal affairs, has the means to dispatch Mecha to assassinate us, and possesses significant intellect and foresight.
Right, which of those three, there's only one that tracks.
Even if I don't want to believe it, I'm starting to see how things could all tie back to Uncle Marcel.
Well, we still have another trump card on top of all the theorizing and speculating.
Yes, Malus did say that charging straight in there would be extremely risky. But we don't have any other options right now.
No, we're kind of out of plays.
We need far more solid proof before we can hope to go charging in on our enemy.
Navia, here you are. Oh, I've been looking for you.
Suspicious.
Huh? Aren't you the guy from the guards? Did something happen?
Yeah. News came from Irenaeus just after you left. We've got another trial on our hands.
Oh?
Wasn't that place built specifically for holding trials? What's so newsworthy about this one?
Yeah. I have a great many curiosities.
I know. But they said the person they're putting on trial is a Fatui
Child?
harbinger called Tartaglia.
Oh. Do not tell me that he gave us his vision so that we can act as his alibi, because if that's the case, I'm... He probably did, didn't he? Oh, he so did.
What? Is that someone you know?
Yeah, we know him. Maybe even a little too well.
Yeah. It's an unfortunate sort of acquaintance we've got going.
Well, he's been accused of being the true culprit behind the serial disappearances case. It's absurd, don't you think?
Well... Huh. That timing doesn't really track, probably. I don't think. I mean, technically we did lose track of him for a while, but... Huh. I suppose it depends on when you consider this all to have started.
Wait, how? None of our investigations have had anything to do with him.
That's what I thought was strange about it, so I came to tell you the news right away.
Yeah, that is weird. Not that I'm all for the sake of arguing that there's no way he could possibly have been involved, but absolutely nothing points to that I know of.
If the charge against him stands, then it'll be next to impossible to get the guards to support any of our planned investigations.
Right, so we're gonna have to help defend him if we want to get anywhere here.
Right, because they'll think they've already found the culprit.
Yeah, and it'll be a lot harder then to clear Mr. Callus's name.
Right, until someone starts disappearing afterwards. But if you didn't really have any specific stake in things, in the disappearances in particular, there are other ways to make people go away. Or if you just take care of the evidence a little better, then potentially I could see that not being as much of a problem. Makes sense why they'd find him a little suspicious, though. What with him having a water vision, being here at this time, and being Fatui? I suppose that's fair enough, although us having his vision's gonna derail a lot of things, I suspect. Weird that he gave it to us.
I understand. Well, partner, what do you think we should do? We still haven't found any conclusive evidence. Huh? Split up? What do you mean?
We gotta split up and look for clues.
Just as expected of my partner. Since this is a trial about the serial disappearances case, the culprit's attention will be focused on Irenaeus, leaving his home base wide open. You're right. This is our best opportunity. All right then, let's do this. I'll stall them at the Opera House and charge Marcel as the true culprit.
Okay, good luck with that. Fair enough. Might help you to know that he doesn't have his vision. Maybe.
I won't have any chance of making that charge stick, though, unless we find more evidence. It'll be up to you to make it back in time and hand the decisive evidence to me.
Oh yeah, we got it.
We'll help you, just like you helped us in Lenny's trial.
Demoiselle, please allow us to accompany you.
I'm ready.
Ah, Malou, Silver, when did you two get here?
We heard that you'll be leaving Poisson and figured that you might require our assistance.
A fair assumption.
It's our hope that your confidence will be bolstered with the two of us by your side.
Thank you so much. Then, let's make haste for Irenaeus. Paimon, Traveler, I'll see you at the Opera House.
Alright then. Okay.
Now that Navia has set out for Irenaeus, we should also get going. The location has already been marked on the map, so let's head over. Huh. According to Malou's info...
Oh, it's like underwater. I suppose that makes sense.
Let's go and try to find the entrance.
We're gonna want Navia active here, considering underwater, it's pure attack stat, and I think she's the highest, but I suppose I should double check that. I'm pretty sure she's my highest base attack character. Yeah, 2470 by like a lot. Yep. Okay. As I expected. This is familiar. This is so many so much time farming level up materials for her and Furina here. Okay. How is this the end? Is it over here? Oh.
Finally found it! Huh. So this is the entrance that leads to the synth production base. It sure doesn't seem out of the ordinary at all.
It's such a cute little crab coming in on the side doing a little spin. Anyway.
You're right. An important place like this is bound to have a ton of protective measures and mechanisms.
Oh yeah. Gotta love a good trap. I'm sure there'll be plenty.
Navia's probably arguing up a storm right now to stall for us.
Yeah, so we should probably go. Okay, perfect. Oh. Whoa.
It would appear that I must repeat my question again, Mr. Tartaglia.
We get to be Navia now. That's exciting.
Do you accept the charge that you are the true culprit behind the serial disappearances case?
To be perfectly honest, I don't understand your country's complicated court system, or the reason why I'm being charged with something I've never even heard of. However, I did hear that people who have been charged can choose to participate in a duel to clear their name. Is that right?
Oh. Sir? He probably would go for that option, wouldn't he?
In which case, as long as I accept the charge, I can have an all-out fight with that champion duelist Clorend, right?
Sir, do not accept a charge. Just so you can have a duel. I know fighting's your thing, but like, don't you fight her anyways? I swear, if he is doing this on purpose, he infuriates me.
I've got to admit, that's one of the most enticing offers I've ever received. When I privately sparred with her last time, she was obviously holding back. Real disappointing.
Hey! Don't you understand? You're currently the prime suspect for a major case. This isn't the place for you to be looking for fights.
I don't think he cares, Furina.
Oh? Sounds like the Hydro Archon wants to lecture me on the ways of the Opera House.
Please don't antagonize her too.
Then why don't you duel me too? I'm the kind of student that learns best in the heat of battle.
No. That's not what I meant.
Alas, it would appear that communication with the defendant is going poorly, and we have made very little progress.
You're not wrong.
In that case, let me explain everything from the very beginning again. The goal of this trial is to determine the culprit behind the serial disappearances case.
That case had nothing to do with him. You've got the wrong man. Huh? What's going on? Why is she interjecting again?
Oh. This'll be fun.
I told you it couldn't be one of the Fatui Harbingers.
Miss Navia, this is the second time you've interrupted the court proceedings. I only tolerated your behavior last time because you were able to provide the court with a key eyewitness. But that was an exception rather than standard court protocol. I can very well charge you with contempt of court for your interjections.
Come on, Nouvelette. Don't do me like that.
Oh, please. Did you ever think I had any respect for this place's pointless theatrics? We can put that discussion aside for now. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm here to charge the true culprit behind the serial disappearances case. And if my charges prove true, then Tartaglia here will be proven innocent by default, correct?
Oh, a young lady has charged in and offered to clear my name. How fascinating. Well, I'd gotten half bored to death by all these rules and procedures anyway. So I'll take you up on that offer. So, Your Honor, is there nothing else for me to do now?
You may take a seat for now in the audience, but that doesn't mean the suspicions against you have been lifted. Now then, Miss Navia, who is the person you would like to charge instead?
This is gonna cause some drama.
That person is...
Oh. Okay. Oh, we could change our minds here. That's interesting. Okay. So, I don't like this because I want to pick this one because it's directly Marcel, but I suspect they may want me to pick this one, and either way, I don't like it. Okay. Will that work?
Marcel, the head of Confrérie of Cabriere.
Okay, there we go.
Huh? What confrérie? Never heard of them in my life.
Okay then.
I've heard of them, but weren't they Spina di Rosula's sister organization?
They sure were.
Oh, is this going to be a friends to enemies type situation?
Please let me remind you, Miss Navia, that charging someone is an incredibly serious matter. Committing to the charge also means taking on the legal responsibilities associated with it. And if the charge fails, depending on the circumstances, you may also be charged with the crime of making a false accusation. Knowing this, do you still wish to charge this man?
I mean, we don't have other options. I don't buy that it could be any of the other people. I just don't.
Yes, I do.
In that case, I declare the charge to be valid. Miss Navia and attorneys, please take your places on the court. Members of the guards, please contact Mr. Marcel right away so that he may stand trial.
Sorry, not sorry.
Mr. Marcel, you will not require an attorney. Is that correct?
Apologies. It all just happened so quickly. I still haven't figured out what's going on. I think an attorney won't be necessary. This is probably just a misunderstanding between me and Navia.
Very well. In that case, since both sides have now arrived...
I would like to take everyone back to 3 years ago, to the case of Callus the Unfaithful. Only through elucidating what really happened in that case can we connect all the dots for the serial disappearances case.
Navia, do you really think that I was the one who killed your father?
No, but we do think you were involved.
Come on, why would I do that? Callus was my benefactor, and remember both you and I only ran to the scene when we heard the sound of a gun. If that's enough to make me a suspect, wouldn't that make everyone at that banquet a suspect as well?
I suppose.
I think there's no point in getting into the specifics right now. The audience doesn't even have the big picture yet. Even I'm struggling to remember some details of that case.
Consult the records.
Exactly correct, Your Honor. I must refresh everyone's memory about that case before I can explain my charge and reasoning.
Yeah, you do that, Navia, and take a very long time doing so, because we're going to need as much time as you can buy.
I see. In which case, I will recount the findings about that case as originally recorded by Maison Gardiennage.
Ah, I see. Okay. Could be mildly unfortunate. He seems succinct.
On the day of the murder, Spina di Rosula hosted a large banquet in a countryside estate owned by the Confrérie of Cabriere.
Uh-huh. Can't dispute that one.
During the banquet, all attending guests heard 2 gunshots from the courtyard. When the guests arrived at the scene, they found the primary suspect, Callus, holding a gun, while his acquaintance, Jacques, lay dead from a gunshot wound. The guards' investigation did not recover any other firearms from the scene. As a result, they concluded that the suspect's first shot must have missed, while the second must have taken Jacques' life. The suspect did not dispute this conclusion, and also declined to defend himself in court. Instead, he chose to prove his innocence through a duel. Callus was defeated by champion duelist Clarande in the ensuing duel, and soon succumbed to the injuries. These are the known facts about the case.
Okay.
The one with the motive to kill was Jacques, not my father. And even so, Jacques still had no reason to pull the trigger. In truth, the third person shot Jacques first. and was shot in turn by my father when my father seized the gun from him. After that, the true culprit turned the third person into water, erasing all traces of him from the scene. Thank you for the summary, Your Honor. Of course, the guard's conclusion appeared quite sensible to us at the time. However, we should revisit the case now that we've gained new information about the abilities of water from the primordial sea.
Okay. Alright. There's no loopholes there, that's obvious. Okay. 2 gunshots. I mean, that's accurate. This one, we might be able to get. This one. It's either, this goes on either of these two. This one or this one. Nope. Okay, it's gotta be here then. No? Okay. Then I guess this would be 2 gunshots. We can't really refute that one other than the fact that we found. There we go.
The testimony of the victim's family confirms that Jacques had thoughts of assassinating Callus when he set out for the banquet. However, in the end, he reconsidered and instead shared everything with Callus, hoping to seek the latter's protection. Unfortunately for Jacques, the true culprit had already considered this possibility and had sent out another assassin.
Okay, that's option 1. Then immediately after that, we think alright, so this is either going to be here or right here. Yep.
This assassin first shot Jacques, then turned to shoot Callus, only for Callus to wrestle the gun from him and kill him instead.
Okay, perfect. And then over here, it's gotta be either this or the seawater. Yep.
A pile of clothing was found at the scene. The guards once believed they were used by Jacques as a costume to disguise himself. But now, it is clear that the clothes were proof that there was a third person at the scene, and that they were turned into water after committing the murder. Since it was raining that day, the culprit was confident that they could use the rain to wash away all traces of their dissolved accomplice. Realizing this, the true culprit caused the hired assassin to dissolve into water, leading everyone to believe Callus was responsible for Jacques' murder. This is the true version of events.
Oh, that's not good. How is that successful? That doesn't look successful to me.
That's what happened. Wait, you're telling me something as dangerous as water from the primordial sea has been used for all these years?
Uh-huh. In fact, we also have proof of that considering the previous case.
What a great theory. It also explains Callus's and Jacques' respective motives. I guess they didn't shoot each other after all.
Mr. Marcel, you are the one being charged with the crime. You should provide a rebuttal if you wish to prove your innocence.
Ah, but I think I agree with everything Navia just said. In fact, there was nothing in her speech that directly implicated me.
Then, may I ask some questions? In my opinion, we primarily need to determine 2 things.
You're not wrong.
1, do you have the evidence to back up your claims?
I'm afraid not. At least not at this very moment.
Boo! If you don't have any evidence, you should just go home!
I may not have the evidence with me, but I know where I could go to collect it. If we look up the deserted clothes against a record of people who went missing around the same time, we should be able to find a match.
Very true. And a very good stalling tactic.
Considering the serial disappearances case, the guards probably kept careful records of all missing persons from around that time, regardless of age or gender.
Very true.
That makes sense to me. Monsieur Neuvillette, I would consider this to be a reasonable investigative direction.
Why do I feel like Farina's acting a little differently today?
She kind of does have that vibe, yes. Very odd.
Maybe she's scared of embarrassing herself again?
I guess it's possible.
Alternatively, she's become more diligent after charging an innocent citizen in the last trial.
My second question has to do with the ensuing duel. If the truth is indeed as you described, then why didn't Mr. Callis explain himself in court? If he had testified that a person had been dissolved, he could have at least mounted a defense.
Yeah, we have an explanation for that too, you just aren't gonna like it.
I've thought about this too, and the answer is actually pretty simple. He felt there were things that were more important to him. The dissolving power of water from the primordial sea is an important secret for the true culprit of the serial disappearances case. My father could have exposed it for all to see, but he chose to take it to the grave. At that time, Spina di Rosula was in dire straits, and his reputation had already been shattered. He had no guarantee that going forward with the truth would allow the culprit to be brought to justice. What was certain, however, was that it would paint a gigantic target on my back.
Boss once told me that Demoiselle had already been selected as the next target of the serial disappearances case.
What? If the secret had gotten out, the culprit would have fought an all-out war with Espina right there and then. I wouldn't have been the only one in danger. All of us would have stood to lose our lives. Of course, the guards might eventually figure out the truth of the matter and determine that we were in the right.
But who knows when that could happen.
But what good would that do? How can a hollow verdict protect anyone? Had this opera house ever given my father any kind of confidence in its brand of justice, Spina di Rosula would have had no reason to exist.
Okay. I know we're trying to stall and all, but that might be a little aggressive.
But by staying silent, we retain the ability to deter our opponents and continue the stalemate. I was able to become Spina di Rosula's president, which made me harder to target, as well as giving me more time to grow and learn. And once I have figured out the truth and stepped up to the challenge, I will do what this opera house cannot, and restore my father's truth and honor back to him.
Okay. I mean, fair statement, but of all the things you want to do, I think upsetting the two of them is not the way to go.
So, you mean to say, your father intended to die in the duelist's ring?
Well,
that's right.
Do you have any proof?
Of course. All you need is to ask his opponent, Clarand.
Sorry. We're gonna involve you in this one, hon.
I don't need your apology, your guilt, or your support from the shadows. You don't have to do anything for my sake. But since he entrusted his will to you, Clarand, you should tell us the truth about his sacrifice.
So, during the duel, did you believe that Callis was intending to die?
Yes, I did. As a champion duelist, I've fought many battles and taken a countless number of dishonored lives. In my line of work, I've seen all kinds of people give their all for the faintest hope to continue living. Some were determined, others passionate, and some even manic and twisted. Just one look and I can tell if a duelist is hoping to live or if they're looking to die. I hereby swear on my name and honor as a champion duelist that Mr. Callis never intended to leave the ring alive.
Since that's your testimony, I have no more questions. It appears there really are good grounds to reopen this case.
I concur. However, Miss Navia, you still have not explained the link between your father's case and the serial disappearances case.
Right? What she said was fascinating, but kind of beside the point.
Wait, weren't they just talking about the serial disappearances case?
Of course, Your Honor. The two cases are connected via a matter of timing. In my father's case, the culprit intended to kill both Jacques and Callus. As a result, they planned to act after hearing 2 gunshots. And at the end of Linny's trial, the culprit also only dissolved the victim in front of everyone because they realized they were at risk of being identified. The culprit could only time their actions so precisely if they were already at the scene.
Very true.
Coincidentally, Marcel attended both the banquet and the trial.
So that's why you suspected me. Even after hearing your reasoning, I still can't help but find it a little preposterous.
Oh, there's a little bit more to it than that, but we'll get there in a minute.
I'm used to it, though. You've always been an impulsive and sentimental child, Navia. It's one of your most endearing traits.
No need to appeal to pathos.
I won't try to refute your points one by one, but even if everything you just said was true, can you prove that I was the only person present at both events? On top of that, does a person have to be physically present to control the timing? Can't someone remotely monitor the place?
Know what she can say to that.
I know that even with that, you might still think you can reduce the list of suspects with some further investigations, until I'm the only one left on the list.
Yeah.
Alas, who won't feel at least a little hurt by an accusation of murder from a girl you see as your own daughter?
Wow, he's really trying to pull that card, isn't he? Which is interesting, because, like, if he genuinely were innocent, if you were genuinely innocent and you were accused of something like that, I think there'd be a lot more, I don't know, anger, upset at said accusation. There's not a lot of emotion in his voice.
But if I were to dismiss this completely, you'd also think I'm not being considerate of your feelings. Ah well, let Uncle Marcel teach you another lesson. Do you know what the biggest flaw in your reasoning is?
I suppose you're gonna tell me anyways.
It's timing again. I'm a businessman by trade. From that standpoint, there's no reason for me to kidnap young women. It's a high-risk action with nothing to gain.
Oh, it's not about the kidnapping.
In addition, I left my home in Snezhnaya when I was young to come to Poisson and work in some trade. My business only thrived when I received Callus's patronage. But the disappearances began before I ever stepped foot in Fontaine.
No, but if you were looking to get ahead, getting involved in some illegal drug sales would certainly also help with that.
I do apologize, demoiselle. This was my mistake.
No, it's not your fault. I'm sure he had come prepared.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? Would you like to check the date of my first business license against the first known case of the serial disappearances? You can also take a look at my border entry records, or ask my friends and family when I left Snezhnaya for the first time.
Oh man, I mean that's a lot.
Could those records and testimonies do something to appease the unspeakable anguish in your heart?
This is gonna be a tricky one to refute.
Seems like she got the wrong guy. At this rate, Navia will be convicted for falsely accusing him.
Hoo boy.
I think you've done a superb job of dissecting your father's feelings as he neared the end of his life.
Okay.
But aren't you going against all of his wishes and expectations right now?
Oh, you all really trying to play that card against her? Really? Come on, man. Like, I get it, you don't want to be charged or anything, but really, man?
He wished for you to become more rational, collected, and conscientious, instead of dwelling only on your own feelings. Once you've learned to be more considerate of others' feelings, and to stop rushing headlong into things, you'd have met most of his expectations.
This isn't just about me, and it never has been.
Good girl.
The biggest difference between me and the rest of the victims is that I still have the ability to search for the truth. while that same agency has long been taken from them. The people whose families were destroyed by synth abuse, the people who lost their loved ones to the serial disappearances, and the people who suffered tragic ends due to their sense of justice. Many people's images are flashing before my eyes. I'm sure some are coming to those of you in the audience as well. And whose image do you see, Marcel? Is it a man named Vacher?
Huh.
Oh, that disgruntled him.
Oh, so you do know that name.
How curious. Because that's not a commonly known name.
I'm merely surprised you'd suddenly say the name of someone I've never even heard of.
Yeah, that sounded realistic.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Okay. We gotta do our side of things now. Oh, I see. So it lets you change your party up. I don't think we need to do that. We're decently solid here. And it's the best team comp I've got right now, so that's what we're going.
Let the world collide! I must leave no stone unturned, as a good knight should.
Obviously, particles, hopefully.
Coming at ya!
No.
Coming at ya! Whoa! The floor is going up!
Nice.
Is it because of this mechanism in the middle? That guy really prepared a lot of stuff for this place.
Yeah, this is kind of wild, actually. Like, this is clearly well-funded, but also very... Oh, hey! Very empty. Take me up. Hey! Oh. I see. It's just automatic now. Well, that's good. Guess you learn something new every day. I'm just excited to get to know a little bit more about Navia with this one, because I've been really enjoying playing her. Like, as a character, she's pretty easy to build, I would say. And she does a lot of damage rather quickly without a ton of effort. Her biggest thing is just building up the particles and then making sure you pair her with people who help boost her attack. She gets up to, I think, 30% attack boost, something like that.
Need to go up, but Paimon doesn't see a way.
If you pair her with water, electro,
maybe we'll find a hidden mechanism that'll show us the way up.
Oh, pyro, which obviously I'm not doing right now with the double, so slightly worse, but either way, still not terrible. And she's just fun. Okay, so we need to go down. Oh, we're gonna have to blow that up. How exciting. Love a good explosion. Kaboom. Whoa, that's a cool looking statue. They hide anything behind it? No. Boring. Is this gonna open the door? Maybe? Ooh. That's cool. Raising the water levels. Very odd that we haven't met any opposition.
But this is still a ways away from where we need to go.
Which is weird. 'Cause if this place were still in use, I'd expect us to have at least spotted somebody by now.
Fire! Well, usual.
Leave it all to me. I'll catch up.
Nice. Go hit. Hit. Oh, more of you. That's fun.
Steady as stone, as a dutiful maid would.
Just keep happening. Well, thank you for clustering up like that. That'll make my life a little easier.
Hey there! Watch out!
Boom. I'm gonna try and take him out without Purina, just because
Coming at
that way we won't lose any health for it. Nice. Oh, level up. That's exciting. As far as dungeons go, this is definitely not the most complicated we've ever seen. Because, like, it kind of just leads you around by the nose. But it is cool in terms of mechanics and also just visually. Like, this is a really well-designed location. Like, the clockwork kind of vibes, plus this blue and the, like, bronze color scheme, which go very well together, and I'm a huge fan of. Like, it's just pretty. It's, like, a very, obviously aesthetically different from Inazuma, but it has that same, like, just gorgeous kind of vibe that we haven't seen in a little bit. Because Subaru is cool and very rustic, but it doesn't have that same, like, idyllic sort of pretty. Just to look at. It's just different. I'm a big fan of this. Did we miss something back here? I feel like we must have, but there wasn't really anything happening. Like, it's just a room. There's nothing we can touch. Huh. Ooh. That's cool. We're so fire up. Oh. That looks like fun. Hello. Don't mind me.
Time to shine.
I'm just gonna... Hey! That was rude.
Coming at ya! Coming at ya! Fire! Well,
Mind me, I'm just gonna heal everybody. We should have enough particles now. And back to the well.
as a good night should.
Hey there!
Really?
Watch
That
out!
was poor timing.
Strike a pose!
Leave it all to me.
You're gonna take him out first. Boom.
A proper send-off!
Green attack.
Spina with love.
My biggest problem with this team, and it is a rather minor issue, is that in that third slot, what I really need is either a Pyro, Electro, or Hydro buffer who can be mostly off-field. And I don't have one that I've built just yet. Or if I do, they're slated to be on the Kinich team.
After all that, we finally made it to the innermost sanctum. Though, as expected, the mastermind isn't here. That's right. Then let's hurry up and find some evidence so we can get back to the Opera House and help Navia.
Yeah. Gotta find some... Oh! What was that? Oh.
What's all this? It's a bunch of really cute things.
It's a bunch of random stuff. That's good.
Pink accessories, a hair tie, a necklace, even a makeup box.
Okay. That's a bit odd. Although I suppose, considering we're investigating a bunch of female individuals disappearing, I suppose that could make sense.
Oh, Paimon sees it too, but why are all these cute things labeled with different girls' names? Huh? You mean the girls from the serial disappearances? They were brought here?
Well, or somebody just grabbed their stuff off of them.
And then they were turned into water. And all the boxes of things. These names. That means... Oh, this is terrible.
It's a lot of people. Okay. What else have we got that we can look at? Ooh. Bottles.
Whoa. There's so much synth here. And so many bottles of ingredients that probably just contain the waters of the primordial sea.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I gotta say, it is a really pretty drink. That's terrible to say. But it is really pretty.
Mixing in progress. Ready to drink? Stock sample? Huh. They've also got all the synth pretty clearly labeled.
Right, which is weird.
Whoa, there's even fruit-flavored synth?
Well, yeah, clearly they're making stuff here.
It's super obvious.
Probably doesn't help us any, though.
What's this over here? Looks like some kind of place for research. Experiment number 16 aims to verify Jacob Ingold's research conclusions on the primordial sea and use his theory as a foundation to achieve a breakthrough. The experiment was a failure. No individual managed to resurface from the water from the primordial sea. Female specimens 22, 23, and 24 were dissolved.
That's a lot of people. But how are they trying? They're trying to get them to come back afterwards? I don't like that.
Sorry, Traveler. Paimon will try her best. It's just that Paimon's never read something so scary before. How could someone write something that terrible in such a matter-of-fact tone?
Yeah, we're dealing with some very messed up individuals here.
You read the rest. Paimon's too scared to keep going.
No way. Wait, whoa. What are the odds that that girl is actually the spirit we talked to? I'm guessing they're pretty high.
So that's why he did all of these experiments. Wait, did he really think he'd be able to find a way just by dissolving people over and over? That's just insane! Huh? Isn't that the name you heard by the fountain?
Mm-hmm.
Paimon thought he was an eyewitness in the serial disappearances case.
Oh, it's definitely him.
You mean Vache is the one who did all of these... experiments? So that's it! Vache was no victim, but personally took his lover and... No, that's not it either! If that's the case, why would he want people to resurface from the water?
Yeah, I mean, he's doing research to try and save her, so... Kind of sounds like he might have gotten in over his head, and then... Now he's going to what are extreme and unhinged lengths to go back.
In any case, Paimon will write it all down.
Come on, seriously? Ah, this must be where the water comes
There's
from.
an important-looking basin over here, and it's full of water. That means this is where they make all the synth. And that special water is the main ingredient. If you dilute it with normal water, you'll get synth. But the pure stuff can dissolve a human. Paimon will take notes on this incriminating evidence.
Still, unfortunately, we've got nothing to link him to here at this point. Oh. Okay. So hopefully we find something for that.
Here. Nothing escapes Detective Paimon's eyes. Callus. Navia's father. Oh, this seems to be an investigation report on him.
That's very interesting and might actually be helpful to us.
Yep, it's about finding someone to assassinate Jacques and Callus because of a lack of confidence that Jacques himself would go through with it.
Okay, so we're definitely on the right track with that one. That'll be helpful.
This should prove the existence of the third person, right? We still have not determined the exact content of the key information Callus has passed on to certain members of his organization.
Interesting. So whoever is involved doesn't know what the info was. So that
a real menace to deal with. Even if he abides by the promise he's made to us, he will still have the upper hand.
right, so that's why they gotta take him out. Understandable.
He can act whenever he wants to make our lives miserable. The only option left is to remove him from the picture entirely. I concur. Let's send someone to kill him. He won't declare war as long as we don't touch Navia. Oh, seems like we've got a bunch of correspondence between the higher-ups.
Right. Very well planned out.
They're all just so evil. We've looked at almost everything here, and it seems like our theories were spot on. But
Yeah, we gotta figure that out, because if we can link him to Marcel, that will help out a lot.
yeah, we haven't found anything that reveals his true identity. No wonder even Neuvillette wasn't able to find anything. Whoever it is probably destroyed everything to do with that name a long time ago. That way, even if we bring all this back to the opera, we won't be able to identify the true culprit. Sure thing. Paimon won't admit defeat to this guy either.
There's gotta be something in here that helps.
You take that side and Paimon will take this side. Check everything carefully. We'll find something for sure. Ugh. Nothing at all. And Paimon can't even find snacks either. Whoa, really? Let Paimon see.
Oh, yeah, that looks
Yeah.
promising.
Isn't that Vache's lover's name? Then you found her diary. Let's see. Aw, it's just a normal diary chronicling their love story. She was so sweet, too. Oh, Paimon feels even worse for her now.
Uh-huh.
So many! A whole page's worth! But they're all crossed out. Was she unhappy with all of them? The final name she decided on was Marcel.
Yep, alright. Well, that'll help.
Wait, but Marcel's pretty old. Has this case been going on for so long that he's Vache and Venier's grown son?
No, but we gotta get out of here.
Hey! Paimon still hasn't figured it out yet.
And whose image do you see, Marcel? Is it a man named Vache?
Huh.
Oh, so you do know that name.
I'm merely surprised you'd suddenly say the name of someone I've never even heard of.
Uh-huh. Sure.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Navia! We're back!
As expected of my partner. I just knew you'd return in the nick of time.
Just how often do you intend to flout the rules of this court?
Kind of always, thanks, sorry, Neuvillette.
It's all right, Monsieur Neuvillette. Given their confidence, I expect they've found the crucial evidence.
Thanks, Furina. Glad to have you on our side for once, I guess. Okay, so we need this one.
But the truth of it, Marcel, is that you've always been Vacher.
Huh?
We've investigated your lair and we already know everything! After your lover, Vignier, was dissolved, you kept abducting young women to experiment on the hopes of bringing her back to you! You even created Marcel as a new identity, and destroyed all records of your past as Vacher!
So that's it. Even the villains in opera performances rarely go that far. And with that, Marcel's motive has now been established.
Most certainly has.
This information regarding your past also dismantles your prior timing defense. Well, Marcel, do you know where you went wrong? You fixated your gaze on the lover that passed away, instead of paying attention to the living people around you. So, you never noticed how we changed, or how we grew as individuals.
You also never understood Boss's real expectations for his daughter.
Or our determination to see things through.
Your determination.
Mr. Marcel, please speak up now if you would like to defend yourself. Otherwise, the trial will move on to the next stage.
I don't know that there's much he can say here, but I suppose he might try.
Do you really think I wanted to do any of this? Pay attention to you? What for? Have you ever paid attention to me? Ever empathized with my pain? Ever known how it feels to watch the love of your life dissolve right in front of your eyes? No one helped me. No one even believed me. All those decades ago, even the officers from the Maison Gardiennage were laughing at me. They said there's no way a human being can turn into water. So I must have gone mad from grief. Vignier's death was brushed away by all of you as if it didn't matter at all. Well, now you know, don't you? Ha! Well, it's too late now. All those who were dissolved are gone forever.
Yep. Oh boy.
You only have yourselves to blame. You set up this ornate opera house in pursuit of your so-called justice, your beloved drama, while turning a blind eye to the suffering of the people. Vignier is dead. We promised each other that we would always be together. Wherever she goes, I will follow. But I'm not from this blasted place, so I can't be dissolved, no matter what I do.
Hey, is that water from the primordial sea that he's drinking?
It certainly seems to be, doesn't it?
I can't dissolve! Can't dissolve! Can't dissolve!
Oh. Okay.
Do you all see? I can't go! I can't follow! So if I can't go where she is, what choice do I have but to try to bring her back? I did all of that, and in the end, that accursed Callus still got the better of me. I spent my entire life living on pins and needles, only to get stabbed by his idiot daughter at the very end.
The suspect is exhibiting signs of mental distress. Guards, please restrain him.
That's probably a good call. Although, I'd be careful getting too close, considering what he was just drinking.
Don't touch me! Don't anybody come near me! I still need to save Vignier. A promise. We made a promise. Vignier. Vignier! Please, Vignier! Don't think badly of me. All I want to do is fulfill our promise.
At this point, the verdict of this trial is clear. With Mr. Marcel's conviction, the charges against Mr. Tartaglia no longer have any basis.
I mean, yeah. Probably.
Fine by me. I was in a bad mood, but after a show like that, I'm actually feeling pretty good.
Traveler, please submit all the evidence you have collected to the guards, so that I might review and summarize the truth behind the serial disappearances case.
Sure thing, Mr. Neuvillette. Got you.
The man now known as Marcel was originally named Vacher and worked as an adventurer with his partner and lover Vignier. During an underwater expedition, Vignier accidentally came into contact with water from the primordial sea and was dissolved in front of Vacher as a result. Vacher learned of the primordial water's existence through the work of others and began to kidnap young women for research, with the goal of discovering a method to restore Vignier back to life. To cover his tracks, he invented the new alias of Marcel and began to operate a business in Poisson. During the course of his research, Vacher discovered that a diluted concoction of water from the primordial sea can induce feelings of euphoria and began to manufacture and market synth. However, as he accumulated wealth to fund his continued research and expanded the scope, he came into conflict with Spina di Rosula. After exchanging blows with Spina di Rosula for many years, Vacher decided to assassinate their president Callus at a banquet. Although the assassination did not go as Vacher expected, he was able to turn Callus into the murder suspect by dissolving the assassin he sent to the scene. And just recently, Vacher attempted to frame Linny as the culprit of the serial disappearances case, using a similar method. However, his attempt to frame Linny failed, and the power of water from the primordial sea became public knowledge. This case also exposed enough of Vacher's machinations that he was eventually successfully charged in court. Thus concludes the enigmatic history of the serial disappearances case, with the truth revealed to all.
Sounds about right.
The Oratrice will now deliver the final verdict regarding the charges against Mr. Vacher.
Okay.
According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale, Mr. Vacher is...
That's 4.
guilty.
Guards! Take Vacher away.
Good. It's what he deserves.
With that, the serial disappearances case is over now.
We really just witnessed history. Who would have thought the true culprit would be such a polite and well-spoken guy?
Right up until he went a little bonkers, yeah.
Yippee! We helped Navia bring the bad guy to justice! He's hurt so many innocent people and now he's finally getting what he deserves. Huh? Are you okay?
I mean, I imagine it can't feel good, even though we were right. She did think of him as an uncle. And besides that, her dad's whole case has finally actually been put to rights.
Demoiselle, you were absolutely brilliant.
The day our late boss had always hoped for has finally come. You can rest easy now, knowing justice has been served.
Yeah. Yeah. It's finally over. It's all thanks to you guys. And my partner. See, Papa? Spina di Rosula's still doing well with me at the helm.
Well now, hasn't this been a most delicious piece of drama? The villain has been caught, justice has been served, past wrongs have been righted, and it's a big ol' happy ending.
Again, why are you here? I still don't like that as loose end.
Since it's been such a great show, I'll just let the false accusations against me slide. Either way, I've still got some business to attend to. So, if you'll excuse me...
Bye, you weirdo.
Please wait just one moment, Mr. Tartaglia.
What now? None of this has anything to do with me.
According to court protocol, since this trial was initiated due to a charge against you, a verdict must also be made regarding the initial charge before the trial can conclude.
Okay, sure, whatever, I guess.
Oh, come on. Is this really necessary? Haven't you already caught the real criminal? Isn't it time for side characters like me to exit stage left?
Please respect the laws of Fontaine. This has always been the rule.
All right, but this sure is a lot of hassle. All I need to do is stand over there, right? Let's just get this over with.
Through evidence presented in the public trial that was just held, it has been established that Mr. Tartaglia has no direct connection to the serial disappearances case. The guilty party has been identified, and thus it is logical to suppose Mr. Tartaglia is innocent of the charges. We now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges.
Number 5. What does that mean?
According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale, Mr. Tartaglia is guilty.
What? Well, that doesn't make any sense.
What?
Hey! That's not funny! Didn't you just say I'm supposed to be innocent? What's with this verdict? Is your justice machine malfunctioning?
Huh? This has never happened before. The Oratrice actually returned a different verdict from the Chief Justice.
That's all kinds of messed up.
I mean, have you ever heard of an innocent Fatui Harbinger? Do you think the Oratrice might have just convicted him on general principle?
I mean, that's not how that's supposed to work.
But weren't the charges about the serial disappearances case? No matter what else he's guilty of, it shouldn't affect the verdict in this case, right?
The judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale is, by law, the final verdict of the court. We must accept the guilty verdict.
But it's ridiculous! You can't accept it! No. Something's gone wrong here.
Guards, please take the suspect into custody per court protocol.
Really? That's what we're gonna go with here. Okay. I guess. Really is strict on the rules, isn't he? That's just ridiculous. Oh! Sir, you gotta do something stupid now.
So this is how justice is done in Fontaine. What
Of course
a joke.
he is.
You've got your rules. Well, I've got mine too!
Like, understandable. Damn. Oh. Oh. He's really going for it. Whoa!
I am sorry. If you have been wronged, we will find the truth. But the rules of the court must be upheld.
Was that a one hit? Holy crap.
Hey, Monsieur Novelette, what's going on? Shouldn't they have been cleared already?
Apologies. This is also the first time I've encountered such a situation. However, according to the rules established at the conception of Fontaine's court system, the Oratrice's judgment is the final verdict of the court.
Right, okay. So, presumably we're now going to investigate why that happened?
All I do is follow court procedure. As for why the Oratrice arrived at the conclusion it did, you should probably ask someone more knowledgeable than me.
Fair enough, I guess.
Why are you looking at me? I had nothing to do with it!
Okay, sure, I guess. But, like, that was weirdly defensive, number one. And number two, you should at least have some knowledge here, right?
I don't know what happened there either. Hey, stop staring at me!
You good?
What does Lady Verena mean by that?
She says she has no idea either, but that's impossible. Didn't she create the Oratrice herself?
Yeah, so are the verdicts reliable or not? Can results like this really be called justice?
Oh.
My dearest citizens, did you really think we'd allow an incorrect verdict to be handed out in this court? Did you really believe that the judgment could be mistaken or be the result of some sort of random mishap? Don't tell me. You thought even I had been blindsided by the Oratrice's results.
I mean, it kind of sounds like it. This is clearly a recovery attempt, but good luck, I guess. I understand wanting to at least regain some semblance of control.
But the way she looked just now, it was pretty obvious she had no idea what was going on.
However, given the state of things, I shall give you an explanation. Everything that just took place, including my supposed shock and bafflement, was a part of an elaborate performance, with every action meant to stir up drama and excitement.
Okay. Right.
And, of course, for every performance, there is a script. Everything has unfolded exactly as I expected from the very beginning. As the embodiment of the very concept of justice, the Oratrice shall never render an arbitrary judgment! If you thought Childe had nothing to do with the serial disappearances case, it is only because you've been blinded by the superficial appearance of innocence.
Oh.
Everything he's done, not to mention the danger he poses, are beyond ordinary comprehension and completely unforgivable!
Okay. I can see a little bit where she might be going with this. 'Cause someone had to somehow get the water to the person who was dissolved right in front of all of our eyes. So I could potentially see her trying to go that route. But we've got some opposing evidence for that one, so we'll see how this goes.
All shall be revealed in time.
Uh-huh.
You will come to understand my noble intentions, as well as the absolute correctness of the Oratrice's verdict.
Oh wow, she's not even gonna try and explain here. She's just gonna stall. Which, like, fair enough. Not wanting people to panic makes sense. But this could get complicated.
Now, having said that, although I hate to leave things hanging in suspense, it is now time for this performance to end. As the lead actress, I shall be the first to take my leave. Toodaloo!
Uh-huh. Good luck. Good luck with that. That is not going to be enough to quell the whispers here.
So she chose to make her escape after all, did she?
So you're saying we shouldn't put much stock into what she just said?
Obviously not.
She probably just put on that performance to save face. As for the truth, it's unlikely that she actually has any idea. However, please be assured that I will continue to investigate this case in a personal capacity. Just as I promised, if the judgment has been incorrect, we will do our utmost to clear his name.
Much appreciated, Nuvolat. 'Cause, yeah, I concur. That was, I won't say completely bogus, but certainly very odd and out of nowhere.
Alright. Even though we feel pretty badly for him, we'll take your word for it for now. After all, he's done plenty of bad stuff, so he should have known he'd go to prison someday, right?
Alrighty. Oh. Hey, I can investigate Nuvolat. Hello. Not gonna talk to you. His design is so pretty. Like, he's just... Someone really knew what they were doing. Wait. Him next to Fiorina. They're so well coordinated, too. Like, that's so good. So good. The designs here, I think, the character designs, like, everything has so much intention behind it, it feels like, here. And like all the coordination between the characters, the colors of everything, it is so on point. Not to say that it hasn't been in other regions, but like, feels like it's just that extra little cut above the rest. Anyway. That being said, I think that's about where we're gonna call it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're interested, I will be next streaming the continuation of this story on Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. EDT. And if you want notifications, there's a link in my bio to my Discord, and I post announcements there on stream times as well as reminders. So, just in case anything changes, you can hear about it there first. But either way, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. I hope you have an awesome evening, morning, or whatever time it is for you. Have a good one.